What if I told you that most people today are living in quiet defeat? Not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't want more from life, but because they are mentally untrained. They lack the strength to endure, the clarity to act, the discipline to rise. We scroll without thinking. We compare ourselves to people we don't know. We envy strangers living edited lives. And then we wonder why we feel like we're behind. We chase comfort at every turn, fast food, endless entertainment, instant pleasure, and somehow still feel drained. We avoid discomfort, emotional, physical, social, yet we feel like we're suffocating inside. This isn't just exhaustion, it's a spiritual erosion. And here's the brutal truth. Comfort is not helping us, it's destroying us. Not all at once, but inch by inch. It dulls our edge, it softens our mind, it weakens our will. Meanwhile, struggle, though harsh, carries something precious: power. Struggle holds the seed of every real transformation. It doesn't feel good, but it makes you dangerous in the right way. And here's the twist. The ancient Stoics saw this clearly. They didn't have smartphones, no endless distractions, no self-help influencers. Yet they understood something we've forgotten, that the key to strength isn't in running from hardship, it's in using it as your forge. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a quote to memorize. It's not a fortune cookie line to post on your feed. It's a weapon. It's a command. It's a code for how to survive a chaotic world with inner peace intact. Stoicism doesn't offer comfort. It offers control. It doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. In this video, we're not here for surface-level motivation. We're going deep into 8 brutal Stoic laws that will rewire your mindset and sharpen your character. Not fluff, not empty talk, but raw, actionable truth, pulled straight from ancient Rome, still brutally relevant in today's overstimulated world. Each law is simple, but not easy. Each law will challenge the way you see discomfort, emotion, failure, and even death. Before we begin, I need one thing from you. If you're serious about change, about mental toughness, clarity, and purpose, then don't watch this casually. Don't treat this like another motivational background video. Like this video now if you're committed. Drop a comment when something hits. Share this with someone you know is ready. And most of all, don't skip anything. Because one law could be the one you'll need when everything falls apart, when your emotions are spiraling, when your comfort zone betrays you. This is your reset. Let's begin. Law number 1, embrace discomfort like a friend. That sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Most of us were raised to believe that pain is the enemy. We were taught, directly or indirectly, to chase ease, avoid difficulty, stay safe. But the Stoics flipped that idea upside down. They didn't run from discomfort. They walked directly into it, not recklessly, but deliberately. They saw discomfort as a form of training, not punishment, not misfortune, but preparation. Ask yourself this: when did you grow the most? Was it when life was smooth? When everything was aligned, easy, flowing? Probably not. Real growth usually comes from the moments that nearly broke you: the heartbreak, the failure, the rejection, the loss. Those were the moments that demanded a decision: collapse or rise. And that choice, that tension, is what made you stronger. Marcus Aurelius lived in the eye of history's storm. He led through wars, plagues, political betrayal, personal grief, and somehow remained composed. Not because he avoided discomfort, but because he welcomed it. He understood what it could do for him. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. This wasn't poetic. It wasn't motivational hype. It was law, truth, practice. Every obstacle, a new opportunity to strengthen your will. Every delay, a challenge to your patience. Every rejection, a teacher of your resilience. Modern life teaches the opposite. Avoid pain. Make it easier. Take the shortcut. Protect your feelings. But Stoicism whispers something different, something powerful. Train for the pain. Before the pain trains you. Discomfort is the gym for the soul. That cold shower you keep avoiding, it's a moment of resistance. A rep for your discipline. That uncomfortable conversation you keep dodging, it's a path to courage. That gym session when you're dead tired, that's not punishment. That's where identity gets carved. The Stoics believed in controlled discomfort, intentional struggle, not to suffer, but to prepare. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, regularly practiced sleeping on hard floors, eating simple meals, wearing rugged clothing, not because he hated himself, not because he was trying to prove something, but because he wanted to stay sharp, ready, rooted. So if everything was stripped away, if power, wealth, comfort disappeared, he wouldn't be shocked. He'd already been there, by choice. And that's the point. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your mirror. It reflects who you are when things are hard. It reveals your limits and stretches them. It exposes what you've ignored and demands that you grow. But here's the real danger. We avoid tiny discomforts now, scrolling instead of working, eating instead of feeling, numbing instead of healing, and then we suffer far greater pain later. Because the pain doesn't disappear, it accumulates. But if you train in discomfort, even just a little each day, everything changes. You stop fearing it. You stop dodging it. You stop being ruled by it. And that shift, that's where your freedom begins. From now on, see discomfort like a sparring partner. It's not trying to destroy you. It's preparing you. It might bruise you, but it's building you. So here's your move. Pick one small discomfort today and face it. No delay, no debate. Take the cold shower. Speak the hard truth. Wake up early. Train in silence. Say no when it's easier to say yes. Sit alone with your thoughts. Turn your phone off. Whatever it is, step toward it, not away. Remind yourself, this is how warriors are forged. Because the only way to become mentally unbreakable is to stop running from the things that make you strong. Drop this in the comments. Discomfort is my training ground. Law number 2, stop being owned by your emotions. Take a second and be honest with yourself. How many times in the past week have your emotions dictated your actions? One rude comment and you lash out. One unexpected setback and your energy collapses. One wave of laziness and you cancel your priorities. You don't go to the gym. You avoid the hard task. You scroll instead of act. Sound familiar? It's not just a personal flaw. It's a universal one. We all do this. But the Stoics called it what it is. Slavery, not to a person, but to your emotions. And they believed emotional slavery is worse than physical chains. Because physical chains can be broken. But if you don't control your inner world, no freedom will ever last. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and later became a legendary Stoic teacher, said any person capable of angering you becomes your master. They can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by them. Sit with that for a moment. That driver who cut you off, you gave them your peace. That breakup, you gave it your identity. That anonymous online comment, you handed it your joy. Every time you let something external hijack your mood, you give away power that was always yours. But here's the key. Stoicism never tells you to feel nothing. That's a misconception. It doesn't ask you to become a robot. It doesn't tell you to suppress your emotions. It teaches you to do something far harder and far more powerful. Observe, understand, respond. Most people react automatically, instantly, unconsciously. A child throws a tantrum. A grown adult lashes out and then blames others. But a Stoic? A Stoic stands still, even in the emotional storm, and says, "Let me think." Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, lived surrounded by betrayal, manipulation, disease, and war. And yet, in Meditations, he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, the problem is not the event. It's your story about the event, and the story is yours to change. That is real power. Here's the brutal catch. If you accept this, you can't blame anyone else anymore. You can't say, "He made me mad. She ruined my day. They disrespected me, and that's why I lost it." You realize the uncomfortable truth. Your reaction is always your responsibility. That's tough, but it's also incredibly empowering. Because if your emotions are your responsibility, you can learn to choose differently. You can feel anger and pause. You can feel fear and act anyway. You can feel sadness and not let it define your day. That's emotional mastery. That's Stoic freedom. Let's make it real. Next time you feel a surge of emotion, stop. Just pause. Don't speak. Don't post. Don't act. Breathe. Get space. Ask yourself, is this emotion useful right now? Is this helping me do the right thing? Is this feeling worth surrendering my clarity for? And only then, respond. This is not cold or inhuman. It's strength. It's awareness. It's training. Because the goal isn't to suppress what you feel, but to stop being owned by it. Now imagine this version of you, clear, steady, present, unshaken by moods, drama, noise, or provocation. People feel it. They'll sense your calm and trust it. They'll see that nothing rattles you and respect it. Because in today's chaotic, reactive world, stillness is rare. And that kind of inner stillness, it's magnetic, it's powerful, it's unstoppable. Real growth begins when you stop being a puppet and start being the master. Law number 3, stop expecting fairness. It sounds harsh, maybe even wrong, because we're raised to believe in fairness, in justice, in order, in karma. You work hard, you should get rewarded. You love with all your heart, you should be loved back. You do the right thing, and you should be protected. But that's not how life works. And the sooner you accept that, the freer you'll become. One of the fastest paths to suffering is expecting life to be fair. Let that settle in for a moment. You give it your best, and someone lazier gets the promotion. You stay loyal, and they leave you anyway. You speak honestly and get punished for it. You follow the rules and still get crushed. And your mind screams, "This isn't fair." But what if the problem isn't the outcome, but the expectation? The Stoics had no illusions about life. They didn't expect kindness from the world. They didn't wait for fairness, praise, or even justice. They expected pain. They expected betrayal. They expected hardship. And because they expected it, they were never surprised by it. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, saw injustice all around him, in war, in politics, even in his own family. And he wrote, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." He didn't waste time blaming the world. He didn't sulk in anger or entitlement. He grounded himself in one unshakable principle. Life is not about fairness. Life is about strength. Let's get brutally honest. Fairness is a beautiful idea, but it can also make you weak if you cling to it too tightly. Because most of the time, when we say, this isn't fair, what we're really saying is, I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't want to accept it. But life doesn't bend to how we feel. Good people suffer. Corrupt people win. Hard work gets overlooked. Luck rewards the undeserving. That's not negative. That's reality. And Stoicism isn't about changing reality. It's about preparing your mind to move through it, unshaken. Here's what separates the average from the unstoppable. The average person waits for fairness. The Stoic builds power so strong, fairness becomes irrelevant. It doesn't mean you become heartless or bitter. It means you stop waiting. You stop waiting for the world to treat you right and start treating yourself right no matter what. Seneca once said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage, especially in a world that feels unfair. So what do you do instead? You use the pain as fuel. You train harder. You build skills no one can deny. You love, but without needing something in return. When betrayal happens, you don't fall apart. You move forward with dignity. This is called radical responsibility, not because everything is your fault, but because it's always your move. You don't get to choose how life hits. You only get to choose your response. And that response, calm, clear, grounded, that's what makes you a force of nature. That's what makes you unbreakable. Fairness isn't promised, but freedom is, one powerful, intentional choice at a time. Law number 4, focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. This might be the most important shift you ever make because it changes everything. Your anxiety, your frustration, your confidence, your sense of peace. The Stoics believe one truth above almost all others. Your power is limited, but it is absolute where it counts, and it lies only within what you can control. Everything else, let it go. Epictetus said it clearly. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This isn't detachment, it's focus. Because here's the trap most people fall into. They try to control what other people think. They try to control what other people do. They try to predict the future, manipulate outcomes, avoid uncertainty, and then they wonder why they feel anxious, powerless, unsettled. Let's simplify this. What is actually under your control? Your thoughts, your attitude, your decisions, your actions, your reactions. That's it. Everything else, people's opinions, events, outcomes, the future, is outside your reach. And yet most people spend 90% of their energy trying to fix, change, or worry about those things. That's why they feel scattered and drained. But when you bring your attention back to your circle of control, something powerful happens. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim your clarity. You reclaim your inner stability. Let's make it practical. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you prepare for it. You can't control whether someone likes you, but you can control how you treat them, how you speak, how you hold yourself. You can't control the economy, but you can control what you learn, how you budget, how you adapt. You can't control what someone posts online, but you can control whether you let it ruin your day. That's a Stoic advantage. Not immunity to difficulty, but clarity in the middle of it. Imagine you're in a storm at sea. Most people scream at the wind. They panic. They curse the rain. They wish the storm wasn't there. The Stoic, he grabs the wheel. He adjusts the sails. He does what he can and lets go of the rest. That's what separates calm from chaos. That's what gives you presence when others spiral. That's what builds the kind of inner strength people feel when you walk in the room. It's not that the world doesn't matter. It's that you've stopped giving energy to what you can't affect. Here's a simple but life-changing practice. Every time you feel stress, pause. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, let it go. Is it simple? Yes. Is it easy? Is it powerful? Always. This practice is ancient, and it's the foundation of resilience. Because when you learn to live inside your circle of control, you stop wasting energy on things that don't deserve your peace. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's not just philosophy. That's practice. That's freedom. And when you live this truth consistently, you become someone others can lean on, not because you have all the answers, but because nothing can shake you out of alignment with yourself. You're not rattled by outcomes. You're not obsessed with opinions. You're not tossed around by every wave. You stay centered, focused, unbreakable, because you're not trying to control everything. You're controlling the only thing that ever mattered, yourself. Law number 5, practice voluntary hardship to build unbreakable will. We live in a time where comfort is the default. Food, entertainment, communication, attention, everything is instant. We've eliminated friction wherever possible, and in doing so, we've also eliminated resilience. In a world addicted to ease, one thing becomes your unfair advantage: discipline. The Stoics understood this. They didn't wait for life to test them. They didn't sit around hoping things would stay easy. They took the harder path on purpose, not to suffer, not to prove anything, but to build strength before it was needed. Seneca, one of the richest and most powerful men of his time, deliberately practiced living simply. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" This wasn't theory. It was action. He fasted. He wore uncomfortable clothes. He slept on hard floors, not because he had to, but because he chose to. That's voluntary hardship. You deliberately embrace discomfort. So when real hardship comes, it doesn't destroy you. Let's look at today's world. Most people avoid discomfort at all costs. They never miss a meal. They never sit alone without a screen. They never push through boredom or resistance. They avoid anything that feels uncomfortable, uncertain, or unfamiliar. But what happens when life inevitably gets hard? They collapse. They panic. They blame everyone and everything, except themselves. The Stoic? They've already been there. By choice, they've fasted. They've trained while tired. They've walked into rejection, silence, loneliness, and survived. They've practiced being uncomfortable, not because they like it, but because it hardens the mind. This doesn't make them superhuman. It makes them adaptable. You don't build willpower by watching another video. You build it by doing the thing you don't want to do on purpose, and it doesn't have to be extreme. Voluntary hardship could look like this: fasting for 24 hours to remember that you control your cravings, not the other way around. Taking a cold shower when your body screams no, but your will says go. Saying no to a purchase you can afford, just to prove you don't need it. Waking up early when comfort tells you to stay down. Training when you're tired. Sitting still when you want to run. These small decisions build a habit of toughness, a default toward action, a comfort in the uncomfortable. And over time, you become dangerous, not in a violent way, but in a grounded, unshakable way. Not because you're punishing yourself, but because you know the truth. Comfort doesn't make you strong. Challenge does. When life gets hard, and it will, You won't panic. You'll breathe. You'll move. You'll execute. Because you've been here before, by design. Marcus Aurelius ruled through pandemics, wars, political collapse, yet his writings remain calm, measured, clear. Why? Because hardship wasn't new to him. It didn't catch him off guard. He trained for it, mentally, emotionally, philosophically, and when hardship is expected, it loses its power to paralyze you. So stop asking, how can I make life easier? Start asking, how can I become stronger? Start practicing now. Practice hunger. Practice silence. Practice rejection. Practice boredom. Practice fatigue. And stay focused through all of it. Because one day, life will throw more at you than you think you can handle. And when that day comes, you'll rise. Law number 6, detach from outcomes. Fall in love with the process. Let's be honest. From the moment we're old enough to be graded, timed, scored, ranked, we're trained to chase one thing: results. Get the A, win the game, land the job, hit the number, get the recognition, be admired. But Stoicism flips that mindset on its head. It doesn't tell you to stop striving. It tells you to stop clinging. Because when your happiness is tied to the outcome, you're building on shaky ground. The outcome, always uncertain, always vulnerable, always outside your full control. Here's what the Stoics taught instead. Detach from the outcome. Commit to the process. Because the process is where the power is. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And what lies beyond our control? How fast the results come, how people respond, how the market reacts, whether others like what we do, whether things succeed or flop. If you cling to those things, you're always at the mercy of something unstable. Let's make it real. You work out for a week, don't see results, and quit. You launch a business, it doesn't explode right away, and you feel like a failure. You open up to someone, they pull away, and you break. But what if instead you focused on the doing itself? You work out because it sharpens your body and discipline. You build because you're becoming smarter, more capable, more resilient. You create because creating stretches your mind. You love because love itself is a worthy act. Now the outcome becomes a bonus, not your source of identity. Here's the irony. The moment you stop needing the outcome, you start performing better because you're not desperate. You're not overthinking. You're not fragile. You're present. You're grounded in your work. You're focused on the only thing you truly control, your effort. Marcus Aurelius said, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." Translation: stop living in the future. Stop obsessing over what might happen. Stop tying your worth to what hasn't occurred yet. Just show up now with courage, clarity, and consistency. If you're a writer, write, not to go viral, but to sharpen your craft. If you're an athlete, train, not just to win, but to push your limits. If you're building something, build, not for likes or praise, but because this is who you are. The moment you attach your identity to external success, you become fragile. But the moment you attach your identity to discipline, focus, intention, you become unshakable. Here's the mindset shift. Show up as if the result is already guaranteed, and your only job now is to enjoy the doing. When you succeed, bonus. When you fail, data. But you already won because you showed up, you moved forward, you became stronger in the process, and that's the Stoic path. Law number 7, embrace death. Live with urgency and purpose. This one shakes people, but it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up, because most people walk through life like they've got all the time in the world. They wait, they delay, they say next year, later, when I'm ready. But time doesn't wait, and neither does death. The Stoics didn't avoid thinking about death. They used it. They practiced a principle called memento mori, which means remember you will die. Not to be morbid, not to depress themselves, but to bring clarity, urgency, focus. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That's not fear, that's freedom. Because when you accept that your life is temporary, you stop wasting time. You stop spending your days on distractions. You stop tolerating bad habits and draining people. You stop living small. Think about it. How many hours have you wasted scrolling? How many days have you lost in indecision? How many months have you put off the change you know you need? And why? Because deep down, you believe there's always more time, more chances, more some days. But that's the most dangerous lie of all. There's no guarantee you'll see next year, or next month, or even next week. And the Stoics knew that. That's why they live with urgency. Not panic, not stress. Urgency. Seneca wrote, "It's not that we have a short time to live. It's that we waste a lot of it." You don't get to decide how long you live, but you do get to decide how deeply you live. Every single day is an opportunity, not to hustle mindlessly, but to act intentionally, to show up fully, to speak your truth, to love without conditions, to move toward what matters. Let's get real. That risk you keep avoiding, take it. That business idea you keep sitting on, start it. That apology you keep holding back, give it. That toxic relationship you keep tolerating, leave it. That dream you keep deferring, go. Now, because you don't know how many chances you have left, the Stoic doesn't fear death. They prepare for it. They stare it down, and then they live fully, openly, bravely. They speak truthfully. They love intentionally. They work with urgency, not because they're in a rush, but because they respect the clock. They let go of ego. They stop fearing judgment. They stop fearing failure. Because the only true failure is to get to the end and realize you never really lived. So live like you're on borrowed time. Because you are. When you do, you become magnetic. People feel it. You feel it. Your words carry weight. Your presence commands attention. Your focus becomes razor sharp. You stop chasing cheap rewards and start moving with purpose. You don't run from death. You use it and to make every day count. Law number 8, be a warrior for virtue, not for approval. Let's not sugarcoat this. Most people today live for validation. They chase likes. They chase applause. They chase attention, recognition, praise. And because of that, they bend. They compromise. They become whoever the crowd wants them to be. But the Stoic moves for virtue, not the crowd. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. He didn't say, do the right thing if people notice. He didn't say, do the right thing if it's popular. He said, do the right thing, period. That means you speak the truth, even when it's unpopular. You keep your word, even when it costs you. You show up, even when nobody's watching. You train hard, even if no one claps. You choose principle, even when no one rewards it. That's virtue, and it builds something deeper than success. It builds a soul that can't be bought. Let's be real. Doing the right thing is often the hard thing. It's easier to lie than to be honest. It's easier to pretend than to be authentic. It's easier to follow the crowd than to stand alone. But every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you get sharper, stronger, clearer. You become the kind of person your future self will thank you for becoming. You build an identity no one can take from you. Seneca said, "I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were to see the one and read the other." That's raw integrity. No masks, no pretending, just values, lived even when no one's watching. That's a life that doesn't crack under pressure because it's built on truth. In a world obsessed with appearance, the Stoic chooses substance. In a world of noise, the Stoic chooses stillness. In a world of performance, the Stoic chooses to be genuine. That's rare. That's powerful. That's unstoppable. You want to be unbreakable? Don't live for praise. Live for your principles. Live in a way that, if everything was taken from you, the titles, the status, the money, the followers, you'd still stand tall, still walk forward, still know who you are. Because when you no longer need the crowd, you become the kind of person they follow anyway. Be the warrior who defends what's right, not what's trending. And even if you walk alone, walk like it's the only path that matters. Because in the end, it is. If you've made it this far, it means something deep inside you is ready to evolve, ready to leave behind distraction, weakness, and emotional chaos, ready to walk the Stoic path, not toward perfection, but toward power, not to dominate others, but to master yourself. Because this path isn't for the comfortable, it's for the committed. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They didn't write for a world that was easy. They wrote to survive storms, betrayal, chaos, and death with dignity. They taught that true strength isn't in muscle or money. It's in the person who keeps their word, the person who chooses virtue when it costs, the one who remains calm in the storm, clear in the noise, and courageous in the unknown. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need more motivation. You just need to begin. Right now, train your mind. Expect struggle. Detach from results. Hold your values. Live like your time is running out. Because it is. And the most beautiful part? You don't need applause. You don't need praise. You don't need anyone to understand you. Because when you walk the Stoic path, you don't need permission to be great. You just need action and discipline. If this message spoke to something in you, if even one law lit a fire inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment right now. I am becoming unshakable day by day. Like this video to keep it alive in your algorithm and in your mind. Share this with one person you know who's ready to stop living on autopilot. And subscribe, because we're building something here. A community of thinkers, of warriors, of real ones who want more than noise. People who don't just want motivation, they want to live on purpose. Every day is training. Every moment is transformation. Keep showing up. Keep choosing strength. And don't stop until you become unstoppable.